the public relations department. One person within an organization should be responsible for PR. He or she serves as a liaison officer between your company and the PR specialist or agency. The main purpose would be to coordinate communication between the organization and the press. We may have some companies which are small, or we may have companies which are big. In any of the setup, we are supposed to have a person who is responsible for PR. We need to have a person who coordinates the communication between the organization and the outside world or the outside environment. This person should be in charge with both the print and the electronic media. The person should have the skills to use electronic media as a means of communication. The person should be in a position to go on Facebook, to go on Twitter, create messages, create news about the organization. That is all about PR. Small businesses usually have what are called PR coordinators. Large corporations usually have PR departments. PR managers use a variety of names: PR manager, corporate communications director, media relations managers. All these are names which relate to PR, because PR is also evolving. There's a lot of changes which are happening, and PR officers may want now to locate within a certain framework or in a certain scope. So you will see it is corporate communications director in some instances. Can we share how PR is? What's the name of PR in your different organizations? Do you have PR departments? And what is the name which you use? Is it PR manager? Is it PR department? Or you are using other names?
PR, public relations and customer care manager.
Okay. Any other organization? So meaning to say, in your instance, PR and customer care, they are one.
Yes.
Okay.
For organization, it's guest relations / sales and marketing.
Guest relations / sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing, yeah, they fall under sales and marketing department.
Okay. Are there any advantages of having PR and marketing together? What are the advantages which you see practically on the ground?
In terms of PR and marketing, if they combine it at once, because from our head office we've got the PR actually falls under the marketing department. So when they are marketing the product and they are also communicating with customers, with stakeholders, so I think it's like killing two birds with one stone.
Okay, it cuts on cost.
Mm-hmm.
When I was working for that was what Grain Marketing Board, it was separate. PR on its own, marketing on its own. So it depends now with the way in which an organization is structured. But they can exist together because of these different relationships which we are trying to bring into perspective. And if you are not quite clever within an organization, if you fail to integrate PR and marketing, there can be a conflict in terms of the activities. So you may need now, when you have got a setup which is like that, where PR and marketing or they are combined together, you may need to spell out the PR activities and the marketing activities, so that when you are addressing issues, I will give you an example of someone gets into a company, wants to talk or want to have an interview. Not every person within an organization can interact with the outside world. But PR officers are responsible for that, because those are the people who know what to communicate, what is correct. So when you are having a setup where they combine PR and marketing, you may need to simply to clearly state the responsibilities or the activities which are supposed to be done under marketing and the activity which are supposed to be done under PR. You should make sure that you don't mix the two. Or you may end up, one day you are coming from work, you realize that a press statement was given by someone from marketing, which was wrong. And we always want to, when we are communicating with the stakeholders, we are supposed to communicate accurate information. The effectiveness of a PR department is seen through being able to give media a fast, accurate, honest response when reporters have questions. The PR manager needs to make quick decisions. Because of the internet, because of technology, information is moving fast with greater speed. Hence, the PR department needs to be proactive. They need to be fast. They need to relay accurate information. They need to relay honest information. Because reporters will come with questions. They want to understand. And these decisions need to be done quickly. The way in which you respond is supposed to be quick. We are dealing with the image of organization here. The image of the organization is at stake. Can you protect the image by giving us the correct and accurate information regarding a certain activity? Of late, I saw ITEL agents in Zimbabwe trying to tell their customers that no, the WhatsApp will be functioning in their phones. Because inaccurate information was being spread on social media. So need to understand now this aspect of social media. You can, in as much as you may think that you will survive in an environment, technology is now driving everything. Hence, organization needs to embrace technology. In whatever activity in which they are doing, they need to embrace technology and move together with the trends. Remember, the customers now are also technology savvy. They are now moving around with their smartphones and they can search whatever on the internet and relay it. So you need to take note of that. There is a need to simplify the chain of command. PR and the executive, they need to have a simplified chain of command so that they are in a position to communicate with the outside stakeholders in a fast and accurate manner. PR should be part of an integrated marketing communication strategy. Is there anyone who can tell us what do you understand by integrated marketing communication strategy? Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir, we are there. I'm there.
Okay, because when I'm sharing the slide, I don't see you, so that's the reason why I usually ask. What is meant? Okay, what is meant by integrated marketing communication strategy? You do it on daily basis, but maybe you don't know.
In other ways, for me, our company, like I previously, it's mostly a family business. So we don't have this strategic like business units per se. So our services, our sales department, sorry, marketing and PR, but we don't have a specific person that exactly does that. So for now, I'm actually learning because we don't have it.
So you need to go and set up a person who is responsible for PR.
Yeah.
You may not have it, but you need to know a person who is responsible for PR. Because one day the security guard will give a press statement. Okay, when we are talking about integrated marketing communication, we are saying we have got a number of marketing communication tools or tactics which we use. You may use social media, you may use radio, you may use print, you may use social media handles, Twitter. So when we are talking about integrated marketing communication strategy, these are marketing communication strategy which we do. Most probably we are communicating the same message, but using different media houses. So we are saying marketing should be part of the integrated marketing communication strategy. Meaning to say, marketing department should consider PR as one of their strategy. Let's say marketing developed a product and they want to launch that product. They will go to PR to organize an event, because launching a product, bringing in media and whatever, it's a PR function, but the product is from marketing. So we are saying PR is part of marketing. I know in some organizations they may now want to say which one is bigger, which one is smaller. It happens if their tasks or their activities are not spelled out correctly. But there is that link or relationship which exists. Should be integrated into the forms of marketing when launching a new product or service. Have you ever launched a product from organizations? Maybe I'm talking something which is new. Have you ever launched a product? Is there one of you who launched a new product, or have you ever developed a new product?
No.
Okay. So I will give you an example of a product which we developed and a product which we launched when I was doing my attachment at Grand Marketing Board in around 2007. We launched a product called the Chewy Manchi Maputi, and we also launched the stock feed, GMB stock feed, which is in Norton. When we were developing this product, I will start with the Maputi. We were going to schools in Harare, doing our research to know what students want when they are buying Maputi. What do they want? Do they want salt or they don't want salt? What really do they want? So we went out there with the PR to understand, to do our research. Then when all these other things are done, including coming up with the name, PR was involved. They are the ones who go out there, ask people about the name which we can use. Marketing is also busy, most probably working on the packaging with the color. There's another aspect which is important, the issue of corporate color. How to incorporate corporate color in your products. I hope you understand what is corporate color. Or corporate colors. How to incorporate corporate colors within your product. So all those things to do with corporate colors, maybe issues to do with the uniform. Let's say your company, they put on uniforms for merchandisers. PR comes in so that the brand represents the corporate colors. It's not divorced from the organization. PR officers should be present during strategic brainstorming sessions. You are coming up with a strategy. You need to involve the PR. I understand that there is this culture that people go for what they call the strategic retreats outside Harare, where they spend 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks or a week doing strategic retreats, which some researchers now believe it's a waste of money. You need to engage, you need to go there with PR officers. The reason being that the PR officers need to have accurate information regarding where the company is going. The PR officers will be out there whenever there is something which needs to be sorted out. They need to have an accurate position. So that's the reason why we are saying they need to be involved in strategic brainstorming sessions. The PR guys should work with the components of marketing mix. You know the marketing mix? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we do.
The 4 P's, the 7 P's of marketing. Based on if you are doing service, 7 and the 4 P's of marketing. The products, the packaging. So when I was at GMP, we even went further to rebrand the Pagoda rice, the silo products, the silo roller mill. The packaging used to have a lot of colors. We went on to do the rebranding. So that because we realized that our packaging was becoming too expensive because of more colors. So we need to remove some of the colors. The price. How can a PR officer communicate with maybe the customer is coming in complaining about issues to do with the price? They are demonstrating about the price. The place. Where are these customers? Who are these stakeholders? So you need to take note of these things. PR should lead in a crisis situation. Was it Segramai who was saying that you don't have a PR?
Yes, sir, it is.
So when you have got a crisis, if you are to have a crisis without PR, it will be disaster.
True.
You need to have a person who is responsible to manage situations. And that is the reason why you realize all these different organizations, they have got representatives who deal with public relations. Half of the job of PR officers is to disseminate information to the media. Is to disseminate information to the media. PR should read industry journals, attend trade shows, attend major trade shows, frequently review your own website, frequently visit competitors, and read all company sales literature. A PR officer needs to read and understand what's happening in the industry. Need to go and attend to trade shows. Review the website. Update the website with accurate and recent information. Should also go and visit your competitors. You need to know, because the competitors are also part of the stakeholders. You need to read the company sales literature. How is the company performing? Where are we going as a PR officer? Respond to competitor ads in magazines. Talk with sales reps. Do you have any point which you think I may need to explain on these aspects which are here?
So I've got a question. So are you saying it's mandatory for each organization to have a PR department?
Yes.
Okay.
Even political parties have got PR.
Yeah, those ones we know.
So what about a company? What about a company now which is dealing with customers?
I think in our organizational case, it's because they've been there for a long time, and Mabuelas is a niche market where you kind of depend on the same customers. So I think it's people that don't want to move from where they've been. We are the only ones in Zimbabwe who are doing it. But from what we're saying, we're facing a bit of a problem from other, like, if I can, in scholarly, you are free to say whatever you say.
Yes, yes.
If on political grounds where we've got political players who team up with other people like from India, and then they bring in a fully made up boiler at a cheaper price, which we cannot compete with. So I think maybe on those things, now trying to convince the owners that we need to go out there and advertise and do PR, for the moment it's a tough task.
Yeah, it's because of the culture of business in Zimbabwe. The people believe that it's only that we are surviving by chance. The world is catching up with us very soon. And you are talking about a boiler coming out from India.
Yes.
Which is cheaper. Why can the PR conduct that company and you become most probably the sole distributor of boilers in Zimbabwe?
That is where I'm saying our challenge lies, because the company, so they think they've got it made. But when we tried once to engage the government officials in the Ministry of Trade, because so that we are able to bring in like valves, because we buy valves from outside the country, to kind of cut off on duty and VAT, but it didn't work. So now since they are white, I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from. It becomes politicized.
Because your relationship with the political environment is not mutual.
It's not that friendly. Yes.
So if you have got a very friendly environment with the political, because the politicians are also stakeholders. So who are those people who are creating the, not being in politics? Who are the stakeholder, who is going out there to create the relationship?
Right now, no one.
So when you now go there, the stakeholders will say, no, who are you? So that is the reason why you need to create these relationships. Maybe you are commissioning your boiler. Why can't you invite journalists from ZBC, from Newsday? They come and do a coverage of commissioning of a boiler. You have brought in technology, new technology, maybe another new technique on how to come to make these boilers which are better. Invite a journalist to come take pictures and write a story. That is PR.
Yeah, we need what you said earlier, prayer to do that. I'll start with it.
Okay, let us proceed to should read newspapers on daily basis, and you should become a student of media. You need to learn from the media. Setting up a PR command or a control center. Any questions so far? Any issues? I may try to be a little bit fast because the slides are a little bit longer, so I will be a little bit faster. Any questions? Okay, let's proceed. You need to invest in a set of social media directory and develop a media list. Use a monetary saving, become acquainted with the media outlets, collect and maintain editorial for key media. You need to know who is there outside in the media business, who can come and take my story to the public. If you go to the public without the media, the public will reject you. Use a monitoring service to see what other people are doing within your field. Create links with the media houses. The media can destroy or can build your company. Collect and maintain editorial for key media. You need to create relationships with editors of these different media houses in order to build a brand, in order to build your image. These media guys, they create functions, cocktails, where they go and discuss issues. The PR guy should also go there and create the relationship, so that whenever they are reporting, they are writing about your organization. Whenever you have got a crisis which you want to solve, you just call the media guys and they will set the record straight. You cannot go and do an advertisement to counter a crisis. Assemble a complete list of vendors. Maybe you have got suppliers within an organization. Who are the suppliers, both local and international? So that you can visit them and know what they are doing, what's new in the industry. Develop a standard kit of core press material, company fact sheets, biographies, quarterly results to product or services. Develop press material, company fact sheet, biographies of who is who within the organization. quarterly results. You need to know all these aspects as a PR officer. And one important aspect, you need to sharpen your writing skills. Just imagine writing a press statement with wrong and incorrect grammar and English. You need to network. You need to create your network with the public. We need to create a network with the industry players. Let's now look at the functions of PR in detail. Let's start with research. In order for you to be in a position to understand the stakeholders or the publics, you need to carry out extensive research. You need to carry out extensive research so that you know what's happening in the industry, you know who are the competitors, who are the new players within your industry, what activities are they doing. You need to plan. Planning and advising. You advise management on the best way forward, on the best course of action. You need to maintain media relations and placements in these different media houses. You need to be in a position to organize events. Then the most important aspects on writing newsletters, reports to radio and television and text, etc. You need to have super writing skills. When you are communicating, you are direct. You also need to have the editing skills to edit. Be it a press conference, it's a press conference which you are sending out. Is it properly edited? Is it properly formatted to suit the expected standards? A misspelling of a word in a press statement can lead to a disaster. Production. You are supposed to be involved in the production of whatever material which goes out there. So all these are the functions which a PR should do. Speaking, training, management. PR officers are involved in they are the mouthpiece of the organization. They speak on behalf of the organization. They communicate on behalf of the organization. They are also involved in the training needs to identify training which may be needed to be done. All these are the functions of PR. Let's now look at the elements of PR. What are the elements? PR is a management function and it involves two-way communication. It is a planned activity. You need to plan your PR activities, and it is research-based. And PR is social responsibility. Our survival in any business environment is now based on research. Once research is done, it is supposed to be communicated to the management. For you to be in a position to carry out research, you need to plan. You need to come up with the objectives which are very smart. Once that is done, it means you have an effective PR function, or you have an effective PR department. Let us now look at the characteristics of PR. A very important aspect, PR is changing. PR requires logical analysis. PR requires strategy. Let me start with PR is changing. In fact, everything is changing in the business environment. We just got into COVID scenario in 2019. And the way in which we do things, or the way in which PR was functioning before, now changed. PR is now being done on the internet because people are not allowed to gather. But organizations are still existing. PR requires logical analysis, especially when you are dealing with a crisis scenario. You need logical analysis of issues. PR requires a strategy. You need to come up with a strategy. You need to come up with the resources. You need to be futuristic. You need to come up with the objectives which are strategic, which are smart. And PR needs to be implemented and executed. You need to be seen out there doing things right. That is PR. And you also need to do performance assessments. Are you reaching the objectives which you set in your strategy? If not, what are the shortfalls which I need to carry out? So you need to be in a position to carry out performance assessments when you are implementing, so that necessary control measures are done. PR requires flexibility. Why flexibility? Because the environment in which you are operating is changing. So you may need to be flexible. The way in which the environment is changing, it's not like it takes a year for the environment to change. Things are changing on a daily basis, every hour. The stakeholders are changing. The aim is to change the negative situation into a positive one through transfer process. To change hostility into sympathy. Prejudice into acceptance. Apathy into interest. To change ignorance into knowledge. So when you are carrying out your PR activities, these are the aspects which you need to take note of. PR don't just happen, but it is planned. It is a planned process. Let us now look into the stages in the PR process. Do you have any questions, any additions, any subtractions before we proceed to the stages in PR process?
Hi, Doc.
Hello?
Hi, Doc. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Fine. I'm now in. I was going through some tender procedure. I have a question, probably for someone who is from technical, like myself. I work from engineering department. I want to probably ask a question.
Okay.
In line with how technical department can have a synergy or can interface with the public relations. as a department. So I'm talking in line with how technical can interface as well with public relations.
Okay, what do you do in your company?
Okay, I'm in shapes. We produce mazoe, Minute Maid, water, but chiefly my roles are like engineering, where we maintain equipment, we service equipment, we get out overhauls on equipment.
Okay.
So I just wanted to find out how I can do this.
Quite, it's important, quite an important question. So let me put it this way. You are producing a product. You are in the production, right?
Yes, we are in manufacturing industry.
You manufacture a batch of your drinks and sweps, and the drinks are distributed throughout Zimbabwe. Then the customers realize that the drinks which you distributed are causing diarrhea to consumers. Then the company is now being called to come and explain to the public on the production process which goes on, or on the error which was done in the production process. The PR guys now need to understand the production, the stages, how it is done, and where the problem occurred. So that when they are now going out to give a press statement, they give a correct position regarding how this crisis came into existence. By understanding what occurred during the production process of the product. So the production guys, your activities, they don't only stop when you do the production. Let's say you are bringing in new machinery, you need to incorporate the PR guys. I will give you another example again, which is practical. An accident occurs in the production department and it kills maybe 5 or many officers, many workers in your organization. The PR department again, it is the one which will go and explain the incident which occurred within your organization about an accident which happened. Let's say it's a mine. An accident happens underground where there is production and engineering going on. The PR guys are the ones, so the PR should be in a position to know what's happening underground if it's a mine set up. So that when they are giving out information, they provide the correct and accurate information. That is another example. Let me give my last example. You have bought a new machine. You are commissioning a new plant in Willowville there. You are commissioning one of the biggest plants in Southern Africa, Schweppes in Southern Africa. You want to create an event where you invite people, you invite journalists. Of course, the PR guys are the ones who go and invite the different stakeholders to come and witness the official opening or launch of a new plant which you just installed. So basically, this is how PR link with production or engineering within an organizational setup. I'm not sure if I managed to answer your question properly. Hello?
Yeah, you have nailed it, Doc.
All right.
I'm saying you have actually answered it. Then, Doc, in our setup, if there are some customer complaints, normally they also go through a department called QOSH, Quality, Environmental, Occupational Health and Safety Department. So I think from your explanation now, it's also showing some kind of interface with the customers, because after a customer complaint is raised, it also goes back to production and engineering. So there are teams which will also carry out a root cause analysis to probably look at what went wrong, what are the gaps
Okay.
in terms of resolving those gaps. So I think you have answered it well.
All right. Thank you very much. So let us proceed. Any other question? I like it when we engage, so that I really know that we are moving forward together. Stages in PR process. The first stage is researching and insight. Once you have got an issue, you need to research. Where you define issues or concerns, you do both internal analysis or external analysis. Do we have any problems within the organization, or the problem is coming from outside? So you do your PESTEL analysis, political, I know you understand PESTEL, your political, your economic, your social, your technological, all those different legal aspects outside there. You are doing your analysis. Where is this crisis coming from? Is it coming from the political? So our PR officers and marketing officers, because of lack of professionalism, when they now analyze the political environment, they become emotional. No, you need to be a neutral professional person. Deal with the political environment in the way in which you are serving the interests or the crisis which you want to serve. Understand the organizational challenges. Be it production, be it wherever. What are the challenges which the organization is facing? So you do your research based on all these different, and you'll be abreast with the required information. What are the issues and the publics who are necessary, who are important for the success of an organization? You need to understand this, and you need to make research and come up with some insights. Planning the program, the strategy phase. You now need to come up with a plan or a strategy on how to carry out a certain PR activity. You now come up with set the objectives. You have done your research, you now come up with objectives which you want to fulfill. How are you going to solve these problems? And when we are talking about strategy, we are talking about timelines. You are building relationships which are essential for you to achieve the objectives which you set. You are assigning people to the different activities, because strategy goes beyond the word strategy. You are coming up with the resources which are needed. Who is responsible for what? When do you want the results? You are now coming up with the timelines. I've talked about this, the concept of objective setting. And your objectives need to be specific, measurable, realistic, and you are supposed to have a time frame, achievable. Then communication, a very important point again, the stage. That's the implementation stage. You are now communicating whatever you have to the public. You are now executing the ideas using a variety of platforms. Social media, print, radio, depending on the people whom you are targeting. Depending on the problem which you want to solve. You now use a variety of platforms. Then at the end, you need to evaluate. My objectives was to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I achieve the objectives? What went wrong? Where do I need to improve? And the process goes on like that. You measure the effectiveness of the activities. Did it achieve what you said to want to achieve? Any questions before we look at PR as a reputational management and integrated communication? Okay, let us proceed again. PR as a reputation management and integrated communication. PR as a reputation management and integrated communication is used for a variety of reasons and purposes. And it covers a wide range of industry. It actually differs from one industry to the other. PR for internal and employee communication. We are saying PR can be used for internal employee communication. That is the reason why companies do have notice boards where they communicate with their employees, used for corporate PR communication on behalf of an organization. Can be used as a communication tool with employees to align with culture and values. And another important aspect here which we may need to outline, the aspect of culture. Organizations are built by culture, and you need to understand this culture or you will become irrelevant to the organization. Whatever activity which we do needs to be aligned with a certain culture, or there is a way of doing things. There are some values and norms which build an organization. And these values and norms, the culture, is communicated by the PR guys. The PR guys are the ones who set out the dress codes. The way in which you communicate within an organization. That is the reason why those guys at the reception, whenever they pick up a phone, there is a way of the way in which they speak. Those kind of messages are set up by PR guys. The dress code, the uniforms, information about activities, about funeral policies, benefits to employees, they need to come through the public relations department. Corporate use letters, suggestion boxes, intranets, social media, face-to-face, and workshops. There are some workshops which are also organized within a company, and those workshops are done by PR. PR for public affairs. Corporates can use PR to communicate with opinion informers such as politicians. It can be used for idea lobbying. You want to sell your idea, pay it to the government. You may use PR to lobby for a certain idea, a certain concept. Private meetings, briefings, public meetings are used as the appropriate PR tools. You can set up these private meetings, media briefings, so that you enhance the reputation and integrated communication tool for an organization. PR as corporate responsibility, also known as community relations. Corporates use PR for social responsibility activities to communicate with local community, the wider corporate and consumer audiences. The most common PR tool are meetings, briefings, and face-to-face. And this is the most important aspect which most companies in Zimbabwe fail to do. They are poor. We are poor in corporate social responsibility activities. Organizations, maybe they don't know the benefits which are derived from corporate social responsibility activities. I was following up on an issue of interest which occurred in, if you are reading your news, they said the news of the apostolic sect guys. So I was following up since they drowned in the river up to the burial. I did not see any company going there to assist. Maybe you now put your, because that is the only way you can go out there and make your company known. The people, these guys, it's a problem, it's a crisis. You go there, it is an opportunity for an organization to be known. You go there, put some tents, you donate maybe some food handouts, then you are known out there as a company. So from a marketing perspective, I was realizing a gap in Zimbabwe that no, these guys, they don't know the power of PR. People may end up buying your brand because they saw you involved in a certain corporate responsibility activity. It means the organization is feeling that you are part of the community. So you need to understand your audiences. You need to understand the environment in which you operate and how to engage them. PR for crisis management. Corporates use PR for crisis management to communicate clear messages in a fast-changing situation in emergency. Just imagine you are when we had this crisis of the cyclone Idai. We used to have a crisis when I was working in Bedbridge, the cholera outbreak. The people need to understand what's going on, what are the issues. When we used to have the riots, it's a crisis management, and PR should be working over 24/7. You are selling your products, and your products are said to be having some side effects to the community. It's a crisis. There is an accident at a company. It's a crisis. So you use PR now to reduce the gravity of a crisis. I will give you some examples of companies which went into different kinds of crisis, which they wanted to. Of late, we have got doves. If you read the news, doves, they have got an issue of a crisis which they want to solve. And they can only solve that crisis by PR. They can only solve that crisis using PR. They cannot use adverts, even if they've got money. So they need always to update the activity. I was reading that they suspended the employees. I read that they are now going for exhumation. It is PR now which is going out there to take media. Whenever activity they are doing, they are now incorporating the media. So that people will know, or no one will go and or will want to be buried, or they want their relatives to be handled by doves. So it's a crisis management. And that can happen to any organization. It is used to handle a scenario using different types of media. And you need to know the correct and the right media to use. You want to relay your message to Gokwe, you will go on Twitter. It's the wrong media. You need to use the right media which is used there. Here in Oman, not Twitter, Instagram is more popular than other social media. So if you use Instagram, it's more effective. It reaches a wider audience than if you use Facebook. PR is consumer communication or customer communication. It is done to inform individuals who buy organizational products and services. It has a close link to marketing communication. I think this one is clear. It is done to encourage customers to purchase products and tell about the product. Consumers want to know about our products, about our existence. So PR activities are done so that people know about the product. PR for public sector. The public sector use a wide range of PR tools to manage investor relations and public affairs. Communication is done on behalf of public-owned body, e.g. local government or central government. They have mastered this aspect of PR. They do whatever they can do in order to use PR. Especially the local government, whenever there is a crisis, they come out trying to water down some of the issues to set the record straight. There is an organization which I use the PR very effectively. The ZRP, Zimbabwe Republic Police, if you remember during the time of Charity Charamba. They are always out there to inform the audience about the correct position. It's an example of an effective PR-based company or organization. They always want to lay out the record straight using PR. It can be done using different PR tools to demonstrate accountability to taxpayers who fund the services. It can be used to change attitudes and behavior of target publics. PR can be used to change attitudes, behavior towards a certain brand. PR for B2B communication, business to business communication. This is done by business to business to communicate with the business customers, to encourage them to purchase products and services. It can be used to build relations with suppliers and distributors to drive sales. You can organize meetings, you can organize functions so that you drive your sales. PR tools such as face-to-face exhibitions, seminars, newsletters, brochures, publications, flyers can be used so that we build the brand image and the reputation. Remember, our major worry as PR officers, as marketing, is reputation, the brand. How is the brand being perceived in the outside world? PR for NGOs, even non-governmental organizations do have PR officers. They use a wide range of PR to fundraise or to improve their donor relations, to increase visibility and corporate profile. And they also combined a variety of PR and customer whatever marketing activities using the different tools. We are going to discuss in our last discussion. We'll talk about the PR tools. PR for celebrity. You are very familiar with this PR for celebrity. And of late, we have realized that companies use the celebrities, likes of Alec Macheso, as ambassadors, the likes of Maititi as ambassadors. And of late, we have realized that, so I was talking to these guys about the way in which ZANU-PF uses celebrities as a PR stunt. So when you see it from a layman's point of view, it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to a marketer and a PR guy. It is a strategy to improve your reputation and image. It's a strategy to shape attitudes and behaviors. Use of celebrities. So you need to take note of that. It's a strategy. So I want marketers or PR students to have that mind which is flexible, which sees things when marketing and PR exist in our daily life. When you are listening to music, when you are watching a TV, you are reading a newspaper, you are driving, you are watching a billboard, you need to see what's being communicated. If you see a brand, a car which is branded, can you see what is being communicated? To such an extent that we have got our cars which are branded, which we use in organizations. And because you have got a company which do not understand PR, you can see a car which is branded, piloting. What image are you giving to the company? When a branded company car is being used to carry people, most probably from Chitungwiza to town, what is the impact to the brand? And I remember, this is not for free, they are paying. What impact does that have to the brand? So as a marketing officer or as a marketing managers, you need to understand the impact of those activities to the brand. So you need to improve these relations. Prf of Political Communication. It is used to communicate on behalf of political parties in the electorate. Most focused at times of general elections, combines all aspects of media and social media relations and engagements. I may not want to re-emphasize on this one because you know this. Then we are now getting to the end of our discussion. Before we discuss about PR specialist areas, any issues arising from the discussion? Okay, let's proceed. Is that a question?
No, I just wanted to comment that I'm being helped.
All right, it's okay. So let's proceed, then we will discuss at the end. Research and insights, PR specialist insights. We talked about that, but let's now try to bring in some flesh into these issues. Research and insights provides the knowledge and analysis on which all communication rests. Monitor opinions, attitudes, and trends, evaluating, researching, attitude surveys, media analysis, and social media analysis. So you may have a person who is involved in research and insights within your company. He monitors opinions, researches on attitudes, looks at the trends, do surveys. Surveys are now cheap. You just use Monkey Survey. You create a questionnaire, you distribute it in WhatsApp. You understand what people are saying about your brand. Media relations. These are people who communicate with the journalists, specialists, and editors from local, international trade media, including newspapers. So you may have people who are involved in research. Then you have got people who are involved in media relations only. They focus, they communicate. These are the people who communicate with the journalists. When a journalist comes, they are supposed to be handled with people in media relations. When you want to go and put something in a newspaper, it is the media relations department. You want to put something on the internet, it is the media relations guys. Use press release, news conference, social media news, one-on-one briefing. It's media relations department or section. Digital Digital market, no, I'm now talking about digital marketing. Digital communication. Using web-based communication and other forms of technology to communicate with the range of publics. This is not the same as social media marketing, social media communication. When we are talking about digital communication, we are talking about the different digital applications or platforms which may exist, which are not social media. They use social media platforms and other forms of social media platforms, or and other social media platforms. The webs, the internet, they go out there, create blogs, etc. Publications management. It can be online or offline, includes visual communication, can be print or digital as a delivery mechanism to communicate with the public. They control publications management. Brochures, flyers, posters. There is a section which deals with this within the PR. So if you want to divide your PR into sections, these are the sections which are supposed to comprise your PR department. Event management. Use a range of events to communicate with publics. These are the guys who organize conferences, festivals, exhibitions, and seminars. Coca-Cola used to sponsor Chimani Mani Festival. So those guys who are in charge of event management, they carry out this. And at the beginning of the year, they'll be having a calendar for the entire year for these events and activities. Copywriting. Using writing skills to generate material suitable for a range of different publics, can be delivered via a range of channels from traditional print to digital. These are the guys who generate material, and it requires the highest level of literacy. Internet and social media, the role and scope of PR. I think this is part of your assignment. The internet has revolutionized the way in which organizations or PR guys do their work on a daily basis. There are now a number of communication channels which are now there. The stakeholders and consumers are in a position to respond to issues in real time. Therefore, PR needs to incorporate internet technology and social media. The media sphere is characterized by widespread broadband, cheap, free, easy to use online publishing tools, new distribution tools, mobile devices, and new advertising paradigms. Internet needs to be given to almost everyone within an organization. Not to have an organization where internet is shared amongst the executive. Internet is now a need within an organization. For you to survive, you need to have the internet. You need to do your research. You collect information from the employees using internet. Employees need to be communicated, to be connected to the organization. Because the stakeholders and the consumers which are out there, they are also connected through the smartphones. The way in which you now do your advertisements, etc., it's now different. So you need to take note of this. 2.7 billion people are now online. Websites are now being used to disseminate information. You can use flyers. You send your guys on the robots to distribute flyers. What impact will that have? Websites are now interactive, giving PR professionals to get a valuable information instantly. The viral effect of PR. Social media now using focus groups, creating focus groups to discuss issues. Listening and two-way dialogue are the basis of contemporary PR. Social media giving the opportunity to put public issues into perspective. Social media being integrated into as a major tactic of PR campaigns and programs. PR firms now hiring individuals who are specialists in social media and digital media management. The rise of mobile content and its impact to PR. Now, almost everyone in Zimbabwe do have a mobile phone. Smartphone penetration rate is now at 50%. Internet penetration rate is almost around 40%. So utilize all these benefits of the internet and social media in your PR activities. PR or professional need to master the art of crafting mobile-friendly content so that those with mobile phones are in a position to read your information, to know about the organization. This marks the end of our discussion today. I hope you have an appreciation of these issues as we move